Escape from Tarkov is a grind, and on PvE mode, I'm going to share a couple of tips within this video that I do every day to make that progression and that grind feel a little less painful and to progress as fast as possible towards all of the quests, whether that be, from traders or achievements that you might want to do within the game. And of course, unlocking some of the hideout items as well. So I'm going to cover some of those tips. Let's get straight into it. If you enjoy videos on Escape from Tarkov, be sure to like the video. And of course, let's jump into number one. So first things first, when I do jump onto the game, we might as well start at the beginning. I always make sure that everything in my hideout is all sorted. And why is that? Why is it going to help you? And what do I mean? Well, if you, for example, are trying to level up your skills, there are certain things in the hideout that are going to help you out with that. And especially as you get towards the end game of the PvE experience, you will have wished you started right back at the beginning. And that's definitely something that I learned over the course of playing the game. And that all comes down to some of the modules, such as the air filtering unit. This is, of course, unlocked later on down in the quest chain, and a couple of requirements to actually unlock it in the first place. But what it does do is it gives you a flat 40% physical bonus. So when I put in my FP100 filter absorber, I'm going to get a 40% physical. But obviously, I'm going to make sure that I do get myself in some fuel. And the best place for that for me is to go to a barter trade from Jaeger, and we can buy a fuel canister for 166k. Or you can buy them off the flea, but they're slightly more expensive. This guy listing up another one for 166. So we will buy both of those and we can pop those in there. Now, when you first log into the game and start upgrading your hideout, you'll notice that you do not have all of these slots that I've currently got. You'll have slightly less, or maybe you're somewhat near where I'm at the moment. But as you go through, you'll upgrade your slots. And so I always recommend having the maximum amount of fuel going within your hideout, because not only is that going to, always have fuel going, but you're also going to have the fact that you can be able to use this to get up some of your skills as well, because your hideout management skill and your which is this one, and that is going to give you additional slots, and that's just by simply using and creating items in your hideout. So upgrading your zones and actually creating items in the hideout itself. So something really, really useful to be doing. And making sure that you've got in your generator. You'll see over here, going back to our air filtering unit, we've now got 60% to our skill group leveling on physical, and of course your skills can be actually filtered. So we go to skills and we can search our physical skills. So it's basically boosting the rate of XP that we're getting for endurance, strength, and all of these skills by 60%, so 1.6 times. Of course, then you always want to then go and hit up the gym, which it's one of the kind of earlier items that you will actually upgrade. And of course, you just make sure that you do go through and get this every single day. And that is just going to give you a massive, massive bonus towards getting where you want to go. Obviously, at the moment, we've maxed out our strength, so we're getting all of the points in endurance. Previously, I was getting, of course, half endurance, half strength. But of course, we've maxed out our strength, just probably because we've had so much loot and stuff like that. We're not having to run as much as the weight that we're carrying in the game. You can do this twice, so I'd recommend doing it twice. I won't do it just to save your eyes, but you'll end up with a severe muscle pain, and then you just do it the next day. So every single day, making sure you come on. Just double check when you do come on that you aren't already still suffering from your muscle pain when you do come in. And then when we come back out of the hideout, the other thing is making sure that you do check the prices of some of the repeatable crafts. So at the moment, we've got fuel canisters going for 111k. But if we were to take a look at the price of a water filter, hopefully we will be able to see that. they are selling for 189, and given that it usually takes about 2.5 hours, and these last for about 4 hours, but that's with my upgrades to my hideout. So generally it's not actually worth getting yourself the canister of purified water anymore. So always making sure that you do check your crafts every single time to view whether or not they're actually worth doing. Some of the other ones that I have done and, do when the profit margins are good is getting ourselves some vodkas in here. So 10 vodkas for 1 moonshine and 5 water bottles. Moonshine 520k, and then sometimes you'll see the vodkas go upwards of like 700k. At the moment, it's about a break-even price, but you might just about be able to make money off of that. But remember, it's also leveling up your crafting skill within your hideout, which is going to give you bonuses. It's going to speed up every single crafting and stuff like that. So always making sure you've got those on is what I've done, especially in the last couple of months. Now, another thing that you'll see over here is the cultist circle, another zone that I will be using every single day. And that is because you can get a ton of amazing items within here. So for example, we've got an intel folder, a night vision goggles, and a grenade launcher. Now the night vision goggles, if you don't already have them, I think they're like $2,000 or something like that. And then you've got an intel folder, which I don't know how much that is anymore, but they were sitting around 400k. So yeah, there we go. So all I do for this actual barter is to drop these in there, and then we slot in 5 slim diaries, sacrifice it, 14 hours. That means that we're going to get a good reward at the end of it, or at least it gives us the possibility of getting marked rooms and stuff like that. I did a video on that recently, so you can check that one out. Another thing is getting your bitcoins out. So I can hold 5 bitcoins. That's simply because I've leveled up my hideout management all the way to level 50, which gives me the elite perk. Which is really, really nice because if you go away on holiday or whatever, you're constantly getting those bitcoins for when you come back. But it gives you 2 bitcoin farm storage slots, 2 water filter slots, 2 fuel canister slots, as well as 2 air filter slots. So you're getting all of that in there, as well as the reduction to your actual use of fuel, air and water consumption. And also it will also give you a bonus to each of the zones as well. So really nice there. Obviously crafting just reduces the time for it to craft, as well as all of the cyclic things. So things like creating the the moonshine. So if you wanted to make that, you can. And at the moment, given that our sugars are at 176, that's about 350k, and then 130k, so 480, and then the bottle of moonshine at 520. So you can make about 40k. Sometimes this goes way higher, so you might be able to make 120k, 200k, something like that. So it's just checking those prices. Obviously you got ones in the nutrition unit as well that you can do. I've also done the Jack Daniels before. They have been worth it, and that's primarily what I do. And then of course you also have things in the laboratory which you can craft. Often these are ones that you can use for your hideout, or you can get magazine case, that sort of stuff. Usually I will do the water filter if it is actually worth doing, dependent on the price of the actual filter absorber, which is probably worth doing at the moment. Yeah, that is kind of the hideout zone stuff that I do every day. And then of course I usually put on a long craft that is guaranteed to make money after it completes. Of course, one thing you can do if you haven't got your Bitcoin farm leveled up is get yourself some graphics cards by just because they have to be like found in raid, which craftable items do come out as found in raid. So you can put in all of these items which you can buy off the flea, and then you get yourself a found in raid item that you can then use to put into whatever your hideout upgrade is. Then another thing, scav case as a new player when you're first starting off, great way to get yourself some gear. If you're just wanting to get just some simple stuff, usually I will do the 95k one and we'll just put that on. That is because it is just the best value for money in my eyes, because the moonshine and the interfolder, they can give you good rewards, but they're just super expensive, and most of the time you're losing like 450k just from simply doing it. And even when you hit big, you're not really making a huge amount of money on each of those times you do hit it big, so it's really not worth it in my opinion. And that is pretty much what I do with the hideout. Another thing is obviously daily tasks, especially when you're leveling up in the first place, where you do need those level requirements, and maybe you're stuck behind level requirements to get next quests in the quest chain. And so I always check these ones out. And even if you aren't a new player, making sure that you do your weekly tasks, these are amazing. Like, I cannot stress how good the weekly tasks are, because of the fact that they do give you levels. So often you'll find that in order to level up something like heavy machine guns here, it would take a long time to get an entire level on those, or even half of a level. But doing this actual task is only requiring 70 scavs, which may be about 5 raids if you're specifically going after scavs on shoreline, which you can do. And so you just level up so quickly on some of these skills. Some of the weekly tasks are going to give you a ton of money. This one gives 500k plus a load of other random items that you get in here. And just for the sake of it, I mean, I'm probably not going to run shoreline to take out scavs that much at the moment, so we can just re-roll that and see whereabouts it's gone. Hopefully it's probably on mechanic, and it is a co-op extract, so we can't really do that on PVE. I'm hoping that they'll remove those. We've now got a therapist task, which is a lab going through the ventilation shaft, which gives you 285,000 rubles, 0.85 to surgery, which is also quite nice, a ton of rep for therapist, and of course you get yourself some items as well related to that, and nearly 800,000 rubles. So really beneficial. The XP is insane. Of course, it is dependent on the level that you are at. So for me, I am level 65, so we get a ton of XP, and it's pretty much the only way I realistically level up fast on the game, and even then it's not particularly that fast, but it is one of the ways that I will specifically focus on if I'm trying to level up. So doing all of my daily tasks and my weekly tasks, really something that I will focus on. Even if they're the weekly, I'll jump on, maybe I'll play 1 raid a day for the week, and then I'll have the task done, easy to hand in and get the rewards from it. Similarly, do that for all of the traders. And then of course we have the trader barters. So if you're running low on money, people don't realize, at least I've still seen people now, even though this was made a change a long time ago, that you can sell things that you buy from the traders, which is one of the ways at which you can make an absolute fortune doing. And one of the things that I was doing, at least somewhat recently, was buying the black keycard using the tank battery barter. So for example, the black keycard at the moment, if there is any, apparently there's none on the market, which is weird. But either way, let me just double check that I'm not being stupid or something and you can't list them anymore. Oh, there it is. It's come up. Either way, it is 5.5 million rubles, so we always want to make sure that we are checking the price of the item that we're doing before we go ahead and do it, because you don't want to be losing money. You look at the tank batteries, these are sat at 611,000 rubles. 5 of those, quick maths, about 3.3 million rubles, something like that. Slightly less, I believe. Either way, it's about 3.2 million rubles, something like that, depending on the prices that you're buying them at. And then we've got cyclone batteries, 100k each, so about a million there, so 4.5 million, let's call it. And then some RFIDRs, 140k. So you're probably spending about 5 million rubles, and for selling the key at 5.5 million rubles is not too bad. And remember, you do also have to take into account the fact that when you do sell these on the flea for, let's put it in as 5.5 million, you are paying flea commission. At the moment, I'm paying 300,000 because of my flea reputation. The higher it is, the better it's going to be. But we'd still make 200k off of the black keycard from selling it. And at the moment, the tank batteries are super inflated. They were often down at about 380k not long ago. So you just have to keep your eye on it and make sure that you do double check that sort of thing before you buy it, and maybe hold off, especially after this video goes live. If other loads of people are doing it or trying to do it, it's obviously going to drive the price up, and then you're not going to make any money. It will end up equaling out both the supply of the actual black keycards might go increased, and of course then the the demand on all of the inputs is going to go up, and so you end up making less money. So definitely don't do it straight after this. Another couple of barters that I do on the regular, just to make some money. I mean, for me, I don't need to make money. I've got 1.28 billion rubles, so it doesn't ever get spent. But it is the sick organizational pouch, so sat at about 3 million rubles. Paracords are about 100k each. You need 12 of them, 1.2 million. And then some of the tapes and duct tapes. These can be expensive depending on when you're doing them and if they're required for various different quests and that sort of stuff. So 12,000 for those, so it's about 200k. And then you've got yourself some insulating tape, which is about 600k. So spending about 1.8 million. And then nails, yeah, you're sat at about 450k. So it's about 2.4 million to actually do this. Roughly off the top of my head, don't quote me on that, but of course you can do the maths yourself. And then of course the actual sit case is worth about 3 million. So if you're spending 2.4, you're making 3 plus the sale of the actual sit case. You're probably making, yeah, about 400k rubles. So you can really easily make a ton of money doing the trades. And it's not just the things that I've mentioned. Go and take a look at all of the different barter items that you can get, but whether it be weapon boxes, maybe it's actually purchasing some of the weapons, taking the components off and selling those on the flea. You can do it. There's a whole range of different things. I've done a ton of them by just removing weapons. I like using the barters, which are super cheap to actually do, taking the parts off, selling those, making money, especially at the beginning when I had no money whatsoever. It made me a ton, probably a couple million, maybe 5 million, 10 million, I don't know. But of course they are limited in how many you can actually purchase in a stint. So obviously it's dependent on the trader refresh. So yeah, making sure you do that. Of course, if you've got 6 fence rep, I always at least, you know, occasionally take a look at the Fence Rep Max Reputation store, because sometimes you'll find yourself marked room keys in here, and they're valued at the discard price of the key, which would be about 900k is typically what the keys are worth. 900 to 1.35 million, I think. But of course, the marked room keys sell for 10 million, 20 million, depending on which one they actually are. So you can occasionally find them in here, as well as super good gear lying around in the Max Reputation store, not the standard one, which you see here. So you do need 6 fence rep minimum to be able to unlock the actual store for fence. So that's something I will do. And then another thing is just making sure that I try and organize the stash a little bit after we do actually before I start off in the day. Trust me, when it comes to organization on PVE mode, you really do need to organize it, because it does get out of hand, because most of the time you're not losing that much gear and insurance is always going to come back. So those are a couple of things that I do every single day and hopefully do help you out, at least if you are thinking about money or just trying to make things easier in the long run for the whole experience of PvE. So make sure that you do some of these things, especially the hideout required stuff, especially the ones that are going to give you hideout items that can be used to upgrade your hideout even further. And then of course there's a ton of ways to make money in the hideout too. If you like this video, once again, like the video, and of course you'll be seeing much more of me in the next coming weeks, as I am now full-time, for those of you that aren't aware. So full-time doing YouTube, and of course playing a ton of Path of Exile at the minute. If you are a Path of Exile player, then you get my drift. It's the new season at the time of this recording, but I won't bore you with that. Of course, I will see you in the next video. Have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.